If you asked me a year ago, I would have told you my marriage was solid, not perfect, but real. Turns out, real doesn't mean a damn thing when someone decides to rewrite the story behind your back. We'd been married 15 years. Not exactly newlyweds, not dinosaurs either, just somewhere in that sweet spot where you think you know every story, every scar, every look. We weren't flashy. We weren't Instagram perfect. We were two normal people doing the damn thing. Work, bills, nights spent arguing over what to watch before falling asleep halfway through it. And for a long time, that was enough. Or at least I thought it was. The first weird thing was her sudden need for me time. She's never been a clingy person, hell, we both liked our own space. But this was different. It wasn't the usual girls' nights or solo shopping trips. It was entire weekends blocked off. Whole Saturdays where she'd vanish early, come home late, tired and snippy if I so much as asked how her day went. When I joked about it, something harmless like, "Should I be worried you're cheating on me with your book club?" she didn't laugh. Didn't even crack a smile. Just rolled her eyes and muttered, "Don't be pathetic." Pathetic. Hell of a word to throw at someone who spent 15 years picking you up off the floor after every bad day. Then came the shopping. Out of nowhere, new clothes. New shoes. New bags. She'd always been practical, the kind of woman who'd wear a pair of sneakers until the soles peeled off. Now suddenly it was designer labels I couldn't pronounce, and receipts longer than my patience. When I asked about it, she shrugged. "I'm allowed to treat myself," she said. "You blow money on that ugly truck of yours." Fair. But still, it felt different. Colder. Like she was building a life where I wasn't invited. One night she came home wearing a dress I'd never seen before. Tight. Short. Screaming for attention. She said she'd been at a networking event. But the place she named? I knew it. It was a dive bar. Sticky floors. Cheap beer. The kind of place where nobody was networking, unless networking meant grinding against strangers in the dark. I didn't call her out. Didn't accuse her. Just nodded. Because what do you even say when the person you trust most looks you dead in the eye and tells you a lie so stupid it makes your stomach turn? You say nothing. You go to bed. You hope you're wrong. Still, nothing concrete. No lipstick on collars. No weird texts popping up. No dramatic scenes from a bad movie. Just that slow, creeping feeling that you're being erased piece by piece. And somehow, you're the only one who notices. Then there was her attitude. Sharp. Mean in a way she never used to be. Little jabs that went too deep to be jokes. You wouldn't understand. Maybe if you worked harder, we could afford nicer things. You used to be fun. I tried to brush it off. Told myself it was stress. Told myself it was menopause, hormones, anything but what it really was. She didn't respect me anymore. And once respect dies, love doesn't stick around much longer. A few weeks later, she announced she was taking a weekend retreat with her new yoga group. Somewhere upstate. No cell service. No visitors. Strict rules to unplug and reconnect with yourself. It sounded like the kind of thing she would have mocked a year ago. Now, it was the hill she was willing to die on. I helped her pack. Kissed her goodbye. Watched her drive away with that new air about her, like she was already halfway out the door, and I just hadn't figured it out yet. The first night she was gone, I sat on the couch, a beer sweating in my hand, staring at the TV without seeing it. Thinking about how easy it was for her to leave. Thinking about how heavy the house felt without her. Thinking about whether this was just what marriage looked like after too many years. Two people drifting so slowly apart you don't realize you're drowning until you can't touch the floor anymore. I told myself to stop being dramatic. Told myself to trust her. Told myself that this was just a rough patch, like the ones we'd survived before. But even as I thought it, I knew something was wrong. I just didn't know how wrong yet. And I sure as hell wasn't ready for how hard the truth was gonna hit when it finally showed up. When she came back from the retreat, something was different. Not in the way you'd expect. She wasn't overly happy or relaxed like I pictured when she described it. She was sharp, edgy, short-tempered over the stupidest things. The kitchen was too messy. The laundry wasn't folded right. I apparently didn't know how to stack the dishwasher properly after 15 damn years of marriage. At first, I thought maybe she was tired. Maybe the retreat wasn't as restful as she hoped. But days turned into a week, and the mood didn't lift. She floated around the house like a storm cloud, striking lightning at whatever poor soul happened to cross her path, which was usually me. I suggested we take a trip. Just the two of us. A small vacation, a cabin, the lake, somewhere quiet where we could get away from all the noise. She brushed it off without even looking up from her phone. Maybe later, she said, voice flat. Always later. Always some day that never came. One night I caught her staring at herself in the bathroom mirror. She wasn't fixing her makeup or brushing her hair. She was just staring. Like she was trying to find something she lost. When she realized I was watching, she slammed the door in my face without saying a word. I stood there for a long minute, my hand still on the doorframe, wondering when exactly I became the stranger in my own house. She stopped wearing her wedding ring around the house, too. Said it was uncomfortable when she worked out. Which would have made sense, if I ever actually saw her working out. Most nights she came home late, kicked her shoes off, and passed out on the couch half-dressed, like she couldn't bother pretending anymore. When I pointed it out, half joking, half serious, she rolled her eyes. Jesus, you're so insecure lately, she said. I laughed it off. Made some dumb joke about how the dog still loved me at least. But inside, a piece of me chipped off and fell somewhere I couldn't reach. Around this time, she started bringing home expensive stuff again. New purses. New heels. Jewelry. Things way out of the budget we agreed on. When I asked where the money was coming from, she said she was managing better and finally treating herself for once. But I saw the credit card bills. The balances that didn't match the stories. The late fees. The minimum payments stacking up. I didn't push it. I should have, but I didn't. Because what's scarier than confronting someone you love is realizing you might not like the answers you get. Then there were the work events. Last minute. Urgent. Always after dinner, always after dark. Always dressed in a way that didn't say business casual, more like first date that gets you in trouble. I tried to be supportive. Tried to ask questions without sounding accusatory. Tried to be the guy who trusted his wife. Every time, she had a different story. Different people. Different places. Different reasons I couldn't tag along. And every time, she threw the same dagger. You wouldn't fit in there. Like I was some broken thing she was ashamed to be seen with. Still, no hard proof. No lipstick on collars. No mystery texts popping up. No late-night calls whispering sweet nothings. Just small cracks, spreading wider every day. Cracks I was starting to lose the strength to fill in. One night, lying in bed with my back to her, I wondered if maybe this was just what long marriages turned into. Two people running on fumes, sharing a bed because it's easier than explaining to everyone why you gave up. Maybe she wasn't cheating. Maybe she was just tired of me. Maybe I was the boring, predictable, washed-up guy who wore old t-shirts and drank cheap beer while she dreamed about someone, better. The thought gnawed at me until I fell asleep with a sour taste in my mouth. The next weekend, she said she had a conference in the next city over an overnight stay. Networking, she said. Big opportunity. I nodded. Wished her luck. Kissed her forehead. Watched her throw 2 duffel bags in the trunk and speed off without a glance back. Something in my chest twisted, but I swallowed it down. No scenes. No fights. No begging for attention. The house felt too big without her. Too empty. I wandered from room to room like a ghost. The bed looked wrong with just one side messed up. The kitchen echoed every sound too loud. I poured myself a drink. Sat on the back porch. Listened to the crickets and my own stupid heartbeat. Wondering how the hell things had gotten here. Wondering if there was any way back. Or if she'd already found her way somewhere, someone else. But even then I told myself, trust her. Don't be that guy. She wouldn't do that to you. Not after everything. I didn't know it yet, but that was probably the last time I'd ever believe my own lies. The morning after she left for the conference, I woke up determined to get my head on straight. No more playing detective in my own marriage. No more second-guessing every little thing she said or did. She deserved better than that. We deserved better. I spent the day cleaning the house top to bottom. Fixed the leaky sink she'd been nagging me about for weeks. Tightened the loose doorknob in the hallway. Even mowed the lawn, front and back. By the time the sun started dipping, I was exhausted, but it was the good kind of tired. The kind that comes from putting in work for something you believe in. Maybe this was the problem. Maybe I'd gotten lazy. Maybe I'd stopped trying as hard as I used to. God knows marriage isn't some magic thing you lock in once and forget about. It's a job. It's showing up every day, even when it's hard. Maybe she felt like I hadn't shown up enough. Later that night, I sent her a text. Just a simple one. Hope the conference is going well. Miss you. She didn't answer right away. Couple hours passed. I tried not to stare at my phone like a desperate idiot. Finally, a reply. Miss you too. It's been a crazy day. Can't wait to see you. No heart emoji. No extra sweetness. But it was something. And in that moment, it was enough. The next morning, she called. Her voice was soft. Tired. Said the conference had been nonstop. Long seminars. Late dinners. Barely any sleep. She asked how the house was. Laughed when I told her I'd finally fixed the sink. Said she couldn't wait to come home and see it. It felt normal. Felt good. For the first time in months, I started thinking maybe I was the problem. Maybe I let stress, work, and years of routine dull my instincts. Maybe I built monsters in the corners of my mind because I couldn't accept that things just change. When she got home that evening, she looked beautiful. Tired, sure, but beautiful. Sun-kissed skin. Messy hair. That familiar, easy smile. She hugged me tight at the door. Longer than usual. Whispered, I'm so glad to be home. And I believed her. God help me, I did. That weekend, we acted like a real couple again. Went out to the diner we loved but hadn't visited in forever. Took a walk by the lake. Laughed about how bad we both were at remembering where we parked. She held my hand the whole way back to the car, a small thing, but one that hit me like a freight train. I realized then that I hadn't been holding her hand for months. Not like that. Not without feeling like she might pull away. That night, we sat on the porch, watching the stars peek out. Drinking cheap wine, laughing about stupid things that didn't matter. For a few blissful hours, it felt like nothing had changed. Like maybe we just needed time. Like maybe we were just weathering one of those rough seasons marriages are famous for. People don't talk enough about the ugly middles. They talk about the honeymoon phase. The first house. The kids. But not the part where you wake up one day and realize you don't even recognize the person eating cereal across from you. Maybe that's all this was. A phase. A hard chapter. Not the end. When we went to bed, she curled into me like she used to. Legs tangled. Hair on my chest. Breath soft and steady against my skin. I held her tight and promised myself. No more doubts. No more suspicion. She's still here. She still wants this. We're going to be fine. The next morning, she made pancakes. Actual pancakes. She burned the first batch, swore like a sailor, and laughed so hard I thought she'd pull a muscle. It was perfect. So normal. So easy. And I felt the last few months start to peel off me, like a weight sliding off my back. Later that day, I found a photo she left on the counter. A picture from the conference. Her standing next to some booth. Big cheesy grin. Name tag dangling around her neck. A group of coworkers behind her. Normal. Harmless. Exactly what she said it would be. I laughed at myself. At my stupid paranoia. At the late nights spent twisting myself into knots over nothing. I slipped the photo into a drawer, smiling to myself. Because we were fine. We were going to be fine. I was sure of it. I didn't know it yet. But that photo? That small, stupid thing I thought was proof everything was okay? It was actually the beginning of the end. I just hadn't looked close enough to see it. Not yet. The high from that weekend didn't last as long as I hoped. Funny how life does that. Gives you just enough rope to think you're pulling yourself out, then tightens it around your neck when you least expect it. At first, everything stayed good. Better than good, even. We had dinners together without checking our phones. Watched old movies we used to love. Laughed until we were out of breath about nothing important. For a little while, I thought maybe the storm had really passed. That maybe all marriages go through rough seasons, and we just weathered ours. But then the small things started again. The little tells. The quiet lies that don't sound like lies unless you're already listening for them. One night she said she had dinner plans with a couple of women from her yoga class. I told her to have fun. Kissed her goodbye at the door. She smiled, but it was tight. Forced. The way you smile at a neighbor you barely tolerate. Not the way you smile at someone you love. I decided to surprise her. Swing by her favorite bakery, grab a box of pastries she loved, have them waiting when she came home. Nothing big. Just a small thing. Just a reminder that we were still us. When I got to the bakery, I realized it was on the same side of town where she said she'd be. It wasn't stalking. It wasn't checking up. It was coincidence. I swear to God, I wasn't trying to catch her doing anything. I drove past the place she said they were meeting. Just once. Just a slow, casual loop around the block. And that's when I saw it. Her car wasn't there. Not even close. The lot was half empty, lit up under yellow parking lamps, not a single car even close to hers. I sat there for a minute. Thinking. Rationalizing. Maybe they carpooled. Maybe someone else picked her up. Maybe she parked somewhere else. A dozen explanations ran through my head faster than I could shoot them down. Because that's what you do when you love someone. You build a fortress out of reasons just to keep yourself from seeing the truth. I didn't call her. Didn't text. I just went home, pastries forgotten on the passenger seat. Sat at the kitchen table, beer in hand, watching the clock crawl toward midnight. She came home around 12:30. Flushed. Windblown. Laughing at some joke I wasn't part of. When she saw me sitting there, her smile flickered for a second, just a second, before she plastered it back on. "Hey, babe," she said, tossing her bag down. "Sorry it ran late. We lost track of time." I asked how it was. She launched into some rambling story about sushi and wine and catching up on each other's lives. Too much detail. Too fast. Like she was reading a script she wrote on the drive home. I nodded along. Smiled where I was supposed to. Laughed where it felt right. Pretended to be the fool she clearly thought I was. But inside, a little more of me broke off and crumbled into dust. Over the next week, the distance grew again. Fast. She stayed out later. Took more meetings. Started planning weekends away that somehow never included me. And every time I asked a simple question, just trying to stay in the loop, not even prying, she got defensive. "Why are you keeping tabs on me now? I'm not doing anything wrong. Maybe you're just bored and looking for problems." It was always turned around. Always my fault. One night she came home wearing a new jacket. Leather. Expensive. Nothing like the cozy stuff she usually wore. When I complimented it, she shrugged. "Got a good deal," she said. No smile. No warmth. Almost like it annoyed her that I even noticed. Another time, I found a receipt crumpled in her jacket pocket while I was hanging it up. Dinner for two. A restaurant an hour away. The date? Same night she said she was at book club. I stared at the slip of paper for a long time. Turned it over in my hands like it might confess something if I touched it enough. But again, no real proof. Dinner could have been anything. Work friend. Cousin. Whatever. I threw it away. Buried it under the kitchen trash. And buried my doubts with it. Because if you start digging, eventually you find the grave you're standing in. She was still sweet sometimes. Still cooked my favorite meals once in a while. Still kissed me goodnight. Still said, "I love you," out of habit. And I clung to those moments like a dying man clings to air. Because you can live a long time on almosts. Almost happy. Almost loved. Almost enough. The breaking point came one Friday. She said she was going to a spa with a friend. Spa days weren't unusual. Self-care, she said. I encouraged it. She packed a bag, kissed my cheek, and said, "Don't wait up." Around 11 p.m., I got a text from my friend, completely random. Said he saw her downtown. Not at a spa. At a rooftop bar. Dressed to kill. Laughing with a guy he didn't recognize. Just saw her in passing. Didn't want to start drama. Just thought I should know. I stared at that text for a long time. Long enough for the beer in my hand to go warm and flat. I didn't answer. Didn't ask questions. Didn't rage or cry. I just sat there, feeling something inside me finally, quietly snap. Not loud. Not explosive. Just a cold, clean break. But still, I didn't confront her. Not yet. Because in that moment, I realized. I didn't want a screaming match. I didn't want a confession. I didn't even want an apology. I wanted to see it with my own eyes. I needed to be sure. Because when I left, when I finally walked away from the wreckage of the life we built, I wanted to leave no doubts behind. Not in her. Not in me. The next day, I made my decision. No more sitting around waiting for the truth to fall into my lap. I was done playing the fool. Done giving her chances she didn't even know she was taking. She said she had another girls' night planned. Another spa day, another movie night, another excuse. I kissed her goodbye like always. Waved from the doorway like a man who didn't know he was being replaced. Then I waited 20 minutes, grabbed my keys, and followed the road I knew too well by now. I didn't have a grand plan. Wasn't thinking about what I'd say or do. Wasn't imagining a Hollywood-style confrontation. I just needed the truth. Raw and unfiltered. No more wondering. No more doubting. I pulled up a few blocks from the place she was supposedly going. Watched the cars pass. Checked my watch. Waited. And right on cue, her car came into view. But not heading toward any spa or wine bar. No. She pulled into the driveway of a small house tucked between two bigger ones. Lights were on. Shadows moved inside. She parked. Grabbed her bag. Fluffed her hair in the mirror. Smiled. The kind of smile I hadn't seen directed at me in a long, long time. Then she walked up the steps and knocked. The door opened fast. Too fast. Like whoever was inside was waiting for her. Waiting like he knew she was coming. I saw him, taller guy, younger maybe, pulling her in by the waist like he'd done it 100 times before. They didn't kiss at first. Just stood there, wrapped up in each other, close enough to feel each other's breath. Then they disappeared inside, doors swinging shut behind them without even bothering to lock it. Like they weren't scared of being caught. Like they never even thought they would be. I sat there in the dark, hand clenched around the steering wheel, breathing slow and steady. It was funny, in a sick way. I thought I'd feel rage. Thought I'd want to break something, kick down the door, scream and demand to know how she could do this to me. But I didn't feel rage. I felt nothing. A cold, clean emptiness. The kind you only get when something dies and you don't have the strength left to mourn it. I didn't go knock. Didn't barge in. Didn't humiliate myself. I just turned the ignition, drove home, and started packing. Not for her. For me. Because staying, after seeing that, would have been the real betrayal. The final nail in my own coffin. By morning, half my life was boxed up. Clothes, personal files, old photos I still cared about. I left the wedding album behind. Let her figure out what to do with it. Maybe she'd pawn it for drinks with her new boy toy. Maybe she'd throw it in the trash. Didn't matter. It wasn't my life anymore. She came home Sunday evening, all fake smiles and fake yawns. Talking about how relaxing her weekend was. How needed that break had been. I didn't interrupt. Didn't ask questions. Just stood there with the duffel bag at my feet. When she finally noticed, the smile dropped off her face like a mask she didn't need anymore. "What's that?" she asked. "My life," I said calmly. "Leaving." She scoffed. Actually scoffed. "You're being dramatic." I pulled out my phone. Opened the gallery. Showed her the photos. Her car in front of his house. The doors swinging open. His hands on her hips. Everything she thought she'd hidden so well. Her face strained of color. She opened her mouth, closed it. Opened it again. "I can explain." "No," I said, pocketing the phone. "You can't. Because there are some things you don't come back from. Some things that don't need explaining." She followed me to the door, crying now, begging. Said it was a mistake. Said it didn't mean anything. Said it only happened once. Said she still loved me. Lies layered on top of lies. Built so high I couldn't even see the woman I married under them anymore. I turned around one last time before I walked out. "I deserve better," I said simply. And I meant it. For the first time in a long time, I believed it. I moved out that night. Got my own place. Smaller. Quieter. Lonelier, sure. But it was mine. Mine, without betrayal soaking into the walls. Mine, without someone else's fingerprints on my life. She tried calling at first. Texting. Emails. Apologies. Begging. Anger when that didn't work. I blocked her everywhere. Changed my number. Told mutual friends not to bother passing along messages. Because some things, once broken, stay broken. And no amount of glue and sorries can fix what shatters when someone looks you in the eye and chooses someone else. Now I'm not just surviving. I'm living. Finding parts of myself I didn't know I lost along the way. I laugh more. Sleep deeper. Breathe easier. Freedom isn't loud. It's quiet. It's waking up and realizing you're not waiting anymore, not waiting for a text, an apology, a scrap of attention. You're just free. And if she ever wonders what became of me, well, that's her burden to carry, not mine.